Hello, my friend Wendell, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I want to introduce you to the new podcast, You Love You. When you can't love anybody else, you have to learn to love yourself. And through this journey, I've learned one day at a time through working the 12 steps, through participating in a recovery program, through working spiritual and meeting spiritual entities. I know that my service to each and every one of you today will be utilized and can help you find the blueprint to more peace and happiness by discovering, discarding, and dealing with childhood trauma. And through that discarding, and dealing with, this podcast will be to introduce you to family members that have dealt with me as an alcoholic or an addict, introduce you to individuals that are recovering from a seemingly hopeless state of mind, introduce you to those I've helped through trauma and my coaching program. And the platform is just a place where people can come and discuss things that they wouldn't normally discuss with family members, or questions that they might have, answers, and just an overall enjoyment of identifying trauma, identifying ways to deal with trauma, identifying ways to discard. Because on this podcast and in my life journey, I realized that when the trauma happened, at 8 years old, I was inappropriately touched. And after that, I pursued that feeling in any and every way I possibly could. Soon after that, I began to drink. By junior high, I was smoking weed and drinking. Best friend, dad gave him a bag of weed every day, every week, and my dad allowed me to go to the back door and buy alcohol for him. So we had a perfect match. And so as my life progressed, I didn't realize that the trauma had affected me in the way it did. Fast forward, that was back in, oh, was that 72, 73, probably. Um, Fast forward to November 2023, or even February 14th, 2023, and April, when I started journaling and dealing with this childhood trauma that I had no clue of. I knew I was sick. I knew I had situations that I needed to deal with, but putting it on paper and learning about myself was the best thing I could have ever done. So I want to introduce and to welcome you to the podcast, You Love You. Feel free to contact, send emails, reach out to Wendell at youloveyoullc.com. That's Wendell at youloveyoullc.com, or youloveyoullc at gmail.com, or even go by the website and drop a line there at youloveyoullc.com. Either one of those platforms will get you in touch with me. We can sit down and discuss, negotiate, talk about, figure out a plan that can help you as well discover, discard, and deal with childhood trauma. I look forward to meeting you and seeing you soon. Thank you. I just wanted to take the chance to, with me coming up on a year of sobriety, just wanted to take a chance to, talk to some family members and get their perspective, one on how my recovery affected them, get their perspective on, what possibly other family members or non-alcoholics or members that deal with alcoholics or addictions could contribute to others. So basically, the podcast is going to be a candid talk with any and everybody uh, that has some experiences with recovery, some experiences with dealing with alcoholics, whether it's their parents, whether they're fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, whatever, as you and I are. So let me introduce the man, the legend, my brother. He's a legend to me for sure, but I can't call him my middle brother. He's 4 years older than me. So he
Ah,
has been a major influence on my life, both
you had
positive.
two you had two middle brothers,
Yes, we did.
me and Tony.
Let my story tell it. Anyway, we won't go into my story on this one. But
Yeah,
we might touch. You know,
18
family.
months.
It's
But
amazing how family family history can get lost over 4 years. Anyway, I noticed you have the colors on and necklaces. Would you share a little bit about yourself and how you ended up where you are? Just a short
what
introduction or
is this like one of what is this? The road is long. What is that song? It's a song with that. The road is long. I think Michael Jackson sang that. And
I know.
ever the winding turn. Whatever. But you know what, man? It's been a long road getting to where I'm at right now. And the colors representing. It's representing people. People that I love and have always loved them from a distance.
Mm,
Like people. I've
awesome.
always admired us and and I never really got culture when I was growing up. It
Okay.
was never in our home. And we had the white Jesus on the wall. Grandma had that picture of the angel with the little two black kids on the cliff. That was a black and white picture.
I remember that.
You can't forget that picture.
Right.
It sticks in your head. And everything about our life was white. It was whitewashed. And then I started digging in a little bit through meeting one of our adopted brothers.
Mhm.
Um, Started slowly being introduced to these concepts and ideas about culture and Black culture specifically because we matter. And we've been taught to let somebody else matter first and be considerate of them first. And all of those things that are nice and lovely, but they don't help you grow. They didn't help me grow.
Mm,
Um, Now I'm growing in a different way. I grew up, believe me, and grew up well at my home. But now you know, that's where I'm at. I'm about, I'm like, who is that? Boyce Watkins said, "B1,
mm,
black first." Yeah, I want to credit that to Dr. Boyce Watkins. But
awesome.
that's where I'm at. I'm black first. I ain't down, no, negative stuff on Caucasian people or white people or Mexican people or Jewish. None of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm down for black folks. That's why I'm a chairperson in the Kwanzaa committee
Awesome.
in Akron, Ohio, and a member of the statewide Ohio Celebrates Kwanzaa and Culture Committee. So and that's just happened recently in my life, and I'm enjoying it. I'm scared of it, scared of the success of it.
Ah,
But hey, it's time to do something different in life, bruh. That's where I'm at.
absolutely. Absolutely. Appreciate that. So the necklaces, is that something you put together or?
Yeah. I have a little creative streak. I don't know if y'all can see this picture back here in the background. When I first moved in this apartment, I painted that picture. That was been almost 11 years ago. It's been hanging in the same spot, but I like giraffes, and that's why I did that. But the necklaces I made two of them, and oh, this one is hidden. This one is one from Lana's sister when
Mm,
we was in St. Louis that time with Joe's birthday.
okay.
She made that one. But the colors, the red, black, yellow, and green are the Pan African colors. Um, and so I usually represent that wherever I can. But I've got a lot of other bracelets and necklaces that I've made, given out, um, let people have. I just enjoy being creative,
Awesome.
and that's where my heart is.
As we were beginning the conversation, you were stating that you didn't know the difference, the gap of 4 years, you growing up and me growing up, and the gap of 4 years. And so you're creative in that area. And I've taken on creativity myself with presenting a podcast or people in public to help others, and I've been charged, I feel, with getting the word out there that recovery is possible, that we can help one another. Of course, diving down some of the same roads you went down with being raised, whitewashed and all of those things. That now that I've grown into a year of sobriety and have done some personal soul searching and journaling and things of that nature, it has come evident that we should put black first, and no, like you say, knock to any other race, but I've been always taught, go to school, get a good education, get a good job, get the picket fence, the family, all of those things, but that was not always included in culture. So I appreciate that lead in. I do remember one specific on your creativity is you used to, and I'm gonna get rid of the eventually. You used to have a saying that you would paint on water if it stood still enough, or something of that nature. Would you like to share some of that creativity with?
Yes, that was I was painting. I just learned how to airbrush. And when I figured it out, I started using two different kinds of paints, an oil-based paint and a water-based paint. Well, oil and water don't mix, so the oil paint would float. And this is all a mental concept. It was never a proven fact, but a mental concept that I would be willing to bet money on proving. Although I never was put to the test to prove it, I would have proved it that day, whatever day it would have been. But my motto was, I will paint on water if it stands still. And I mean, I do custom airbrush artwork, and people look at me and they say, "Can you do that?" And I say, "Look, I'll paint on water if it stands still." And then they look at me and say, "Okay, well, knock him out." Do it. That bottom line, that was that like that point in my life when I was like, I had my chest out and I was like, try me. And
Well, it's out there in the universe now, so you're still gonna have to prove that one to me. I know you're an
hey,
artist of all
I can
sorts.
talk, I can talk you right through it right now. And in your mind, you would be convinced that I was telling the truth. Because that's
Uh,
what I learned to do when I was growing up. Convince people that what I
Absolutely,
was saying was word. That's what I
ab-
did.
absolutely. Well, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate all the things that you've shown me in life. Most of them positive. A lot of things that you've been through, a lot of things I've been through. Uh, but
Most of them are.
yes, with it being 2024, I came into recovery back in 2023 and have since then been through several trainings, several counseling sessions, rehab, treatment centers. And so I wanted to focus more so on family members and they're dealing with a particular alcoholic or addict. Fortunately, you're my brother. You've had to deal with me on whatever level that is. And I wanted to capture some of the feelings, some of the perspectives, and different things on my journey, how it has affected your life. So, one of the questions that I had was, can you share your perspective on my journey towards sobriety and how it has impacted our relationship? So, if you could shed a little bit on that.
Why you had to put impacted our relationship in there? That's tricky. See, that's messed up. But To put it quite bluntly, you was talking about like your room being set up a specific way because somebody told you that was going to be the best way. I don't think you ever listened to anybody about any of that until now, because the best way was Wendell's way. It didn't make a difference. And that was scary for me, seeing you come out of recovery doing it your way, mostly. The part that I could see. See, I didn't the unseen stuff I didn't know about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm like, boy, this boy is moving way too fast. I'm a connoisseur of recovery. I've been treatment 7 times, partner. I know, I've been there. And
Awesome.
I was like, boy, you moving too fast. You're moving too fast. You need to slow down. Like, can't nobody put the brakes on you. And that's what I like about you. You got that energy, in you. So what you did scared me. How you did it scared me. The process scared me. But I was probably scared more so from a perspective of when we were young. I used to kind of watch over you.
Absolutely.
And we at an age now where I can't do that no more. And I just really realized that in this birthday turning thing, this past year, you've been on that ride with me. You went into recovery, I went into sick, real sick. And I became a part of your recovery. So when you would come to the hospital, this used to burn me to no end, my brother. You would come to the hospital and tell me how I should stop and just listen to these doctors and why don't you just do what they say? And they just trying to help you. I used to want to kick you out the room so quick. But I said, my brother loved me and he
Absolutely.
wouldn't be here if he didn't.
Absolutely.
So for that, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have you as a brother, my man. I
Thank
wouldn't
you,
know
sir.
what to do without you in my life.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And
I do
I
appreciate
get a little dewy-eyed when I start talking. And I done threw my tissues away.
that's
But,
all right.
you know, it's not one thing that I could go through that I could say that I had to go through alone by myself. Oh, I had to do my own recovery and stuff. But when it came down to the brass tacks and I was down or in the hospital or and I couldn't be I don't know. You guys just came, man. And for that I'm grateful. You especially, you kind of started when you got back in the area, making sure that I was right, making sure that I was gonna be all right, if I needed anything. And that was well appreciated. So believe me when I say it was like watching your first child leave home
Wow.
when I had to let you go through recovery for yourself, it was scary. So that's how it impacted me.
Awesome.
I don't think it ever changed my feelings about you at all, though, because I done told you. We done been in the deepest conversations where I had to tell you, partner, some of us gotta die.
Yeah,
And it that gets serious when you telling your brother that.
absolutely.
And I've heard it from you.
Hmm.
Some of y'all gotta die out there.
Absolutely.
So when we doing what we doing, man, just I ask that you try to stay on point and just keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing all right. Even though I wouldn't have chose that route. I'm 4 years older. Back to that. I'm four
Hmm.
years older. I would have chose a more contemporary route to recovery. You got busy. And that's what some folks need, man.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I was forced into it as the big book. and the 12 steps and some of the first 164 pages state, and I get stuck on words at times. One of them is pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization. Man, that's a word, man. There's more syllables in that word than in the whole big book. I got beat into a sense of reasonableness. And so, even with the knowledge of the big book, having, I think I started this journey of recovery back in 1991. And I put together, some people have seen my story on my website of shameless plug, youloveyoullc.com. uh, it ain't shameless plug, it's my podcast. I can tell you what it is. Anyway, uh, coming up through, 1991 and then 96 and then starting my own business, getting 4 or 5 years and then taking a step back, uh, doing things and ending up places that I didn't even know, and then going overseas for 15 years. Once I got back here and still ended up doing things that I did. But what I'm getting at, some of those early years in recovery, you had 10, 15, 20 years at one time. And you would literally, as you said, told me, some of us have to die. God woke you up, do what you do, but you got to get back in here if you can. And I remember some of those, and it really put it into perspective, recovery at that time. Now, did it keep me sober? No. Did the knowledge of the big book or recovery or knowing that it's injurious and cause injury to family members and put strains on relationships? It didn't. But this last time, I seriously got beat into a sense of reasonableness. To come up on a year and to know the things I went through. So, working the 12 steps on the fourth and fifth step, when your sponsor tells you there are some other A's that you might be involved with, I had to take that into consideration, and God just started working in my life to put me in those other A's. I was too embarrassed to go to Sex Anonymous and all the other, drug addiction and all the other Alcoholics Anonymous 12-step programs, but I've gotten off point a little bit. But anyway, I do appreciate that, and that is the true fact of recovery. And some parents, some people, some individuals dealing with individuals as us don't understand that. It's like, man, couldn't they stop? And the book talks about how he should do it for them. She's such a nice girl, or he's such a nice man. You should do it for family members. You should do it for this. You should do it for that. So, knowing some of the book and knowing where you are and what you just stated, the question comes, how do you address another member that don't know why the individual does it? I know that's a roundabout question to get you to talk about
I got
individuals dealing. Thank you. Thank you.
I
Let me
got
off
you.
the
Yeah, I got you off the hook on that one. That's what that's what I grew up doing, getting you off the hook.
I love it.
I'm
Uh,
a dig. But no, wow. I would tell people that for some reason you gotta realize that people are people. And even if you've raised that person, your child, whatever you want to call him, but at a certain point, they become themselves. All that you have given them and all that you have taught them is in them. And all you can do is, as crazy as it sounds, is let them walk away when they get ready to walk away. It's like the prodigal son in the Bible. And he did all his little riotous living and everything. And his daddy had to sit home, and his brother sat at home and took care of business while he was out blowing his fortune. And so you gotta, it's like that, man. You gotta really just be able to know that you taught them well and that they will come back. And there's
awesome.
another part of that question. I had something else. I lost, since
No
I've
worries.
been sick, sometimes I lose. I was really getting ready to go somewhere real deep, so it's probably best that I lost that part. But the first part that I said, you got to know that you've given them everything that, and as a person looking at a recovering alcoholic or drug addict, you have to be able to try to separate yourself from your feelings because what you feel is not going to make them heal.
Mm, awesome.
What you feel to keep them sick.
I might have to put that on a T-shirt. What you feel and heal. Well, that might have to become one of those. But so
But
I believe I had 5 questions, and I believe most of the information you've given me have covered all of those. But I'm gonna run down all 5 of them, and then we can discuss a little bit more than that. Of course, the first one was your perspective on my journey towards sobriety. Second one, having how have you witnessed my growth and transformation since I started my recovery journey, which you answered. What advice would you give to other family members or friends who are supporting someone going through addiction or alcoholism and recovery? What challenges did you face understanding and supporting my recovery? And how did you overcome them? And the number 5, can you share a specific moment or memory that stands out to you, highlighting the positive change in my life since I got sober? And I believe we covered most of those.
I
Um,
think this one, number 3. What was number 3?
what advice would you give to other family members or friends who are supporting someone going through addiction or recovery?
All right, hold on. Let me say something to that. My advice to people who are dealing with other people who have an addiction problem is to be honest with them. As hard as that sounds, it's going to help them more than it hurts them that you can be honest with them. You raised them, you brought them up. That was one thing that I wanted to say when I said all that. Be honest with them. Go ahead.
Aw-
Read the next
Awesome.
question.
Next question was, what challenges did you face in understanding and supporting my recovery? And how did you overcome them?
I didn't face any challenges. Personally, have been gone through treatment and recovery. My only challenge was holding back and letting you do what you do.
Awesome. That's awesome. Can you share a specific moment or a memory that stands out to you, highlighting the positive changes in my life since I've got sober? I think you.
Not really, because all of them, all the things that you have done have caught my attention. As there's no one specific thing. Yeah.
Awesome. So as we head towards the ending of this, some of the things that I can input in there was, recovering from a major divorce and getting into the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and learning more about myself, realizing there was other help out there, which there are different avenues and other help. The ACEs test to see if you're an adverse child of trauma and things of those natures, which I will put in the link of this podcast. Other 12-step programs, I heard you state tough love for sure. Family members, tough love. There is other platforms for members that's not the alcoholic, but dealing with an alcoholic, which is Al-Anon, Alateen, and different programs of that nature. And hearing different stories and some of the stories that was brought to my attention as I was journaling, one of the main things, I had an instructor early on that said there's a nerve that goes from your finger to your brain. And if you write it down, you remember it more. My current sponsor puts it that anything running around in my head is fiction. And the minute I write it down, it becomes facts. And so, dealing with all of the stuff that was going on in my head, I began journaling around April of 2023, coming into recovery February 2023. February 14th to be exact. And then starting the path of journaling, prayer and meditation, night and morning, going to meetings, working the steps, and being truthful. I found the individual that our other brother that you talked about says I I used to tell him, because for the life of me, I grew up living in yours and my older brother's shoes and following through them and trying to I don't know the word, trying to be what y'all expected me to be, what mom expected me to be, what dad expected me to be. All of the things that I've learned to cope with, some of the other issues that was going on in my life. But trying to do all of that, it finally came to a head this time in recovery where I've identified a lot of those and have taken the proper measures to do that. So I truly, truly appreciate you taking some time out of your day. We will get some paint and water together one of these days to see or to at least hear you explain how this works out. And I wish you all the health and prosperity and abundance that still coming your way. We
I want to defend this now, don't you?
absolutely,
You
absolutely.
can't just say that and you think you're gonna get away. That ain't happening, Captain. This is what I want you to do. You have recently gotten into a relationship of sorts. Um, I want you to take 3 plastic cups and put water in them. I want to take 3 different um, drops of her fingernail polish, 3 different colors, and put one in each cup and see what happens. You might need some glass cups so you can really see what happens to water and oil when you put it in there. Get you some glass jars or
I have
some
a feeling.
plastic ones. You'll see it. And
I
you'll prove it to yourself. See, now you convinced to try it, right?
Oh, you know it. I'm gonna video it too. I will have it back on this channel. I don't have the fingernail polish here, but I will try some. I do have the glass jars here, so now that you
Man,
put it out there, yes, I have been smitten once again. Vowed that I never would go down that road, but life is good today, and I can look at a relationship. I can look at family relationships, work. All of those relationships ties into alcoholism, and addiction, and everybody's affected around there. So uh, at this time, not that anybody treated me any better or she's treating me any better. Now that I am who I am today, I'm showing up as me and not the representative, as some people call it. Who am I talking to, the representative or not? And also, in my defense, I am a Gemini, so ain't no telling who gonna show up. No doubt.
that's true. That's
Absolutely. Well,
true.
man, I truly appreciate it. Any departing shots you want to
I
bring?
got one thing I'd like to say is that in recovery, there's a lot of aspects to recovery as far as your eating, the exercise you need to get active. Um, what you definitely what you put in your mouth is important, and what you say out of your mouth is important. You need to be able to speak the truth in recovery and be honest with yourself. I think the big book says something about being honest with yourself. And the Al-Anon and Alantine programs generally follow those same perspectives, but that means a family member being that to another family member. But it's hard for some folks, and it's gonna be scary at times. And you're gonna have to pray a lot, and you're gonna cry a lot. But on the other side, when you see that person come out of all of that, like I'm watching you, um, it's a beautiful thing. Just wait
Absolutely.
for it. It's like gardening. You plant stuff in the garden and you sit back and you watch it grow and you water it and you wait and you water it some more. All you can do is hope the sun hits it right and you got enough water on it and it grows into that thing that you perceived it could be. I say,
I say.
I say.
I say. The big book also says if we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we'll be amazed before we're halfway through. We're going to know a new happiness and a new freedom. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. Somewhere down the scale we have gone, we will find that our experiences can benefit others. Anyway, I love that saying of the big.